Morning, everyone. My name's David Crowter. I'm a tax partner in the firm's private client services group. And yes, some of you may have seen some of the content of yesterday's budget, but might be interested to know, what's our take on what we saw yesterday, and particularly, in particular, what sort of actions might you need to take as a result of any of yesterday's announcements. I think it's probably fair to say that I'd characterise yesterday's budget as fairly quiet in terms of the impact on some of our clients who use our private client services. I think there were certainly some re-announcements of things that we're already aware of. So a small increase in, for example, the dividend tax rate, for example. So I'm not sure there's a huge amount that really changes any of the conventions that we've been working under, for some time now in relation to tax planning for our clients. What I would say is that some of the earlier announced changes have given us cause to think about a handful of things that we need to be thinking about, certainly over the next 6 months, 18 months. So for example, the change in the dividend tax rate and the change in the rate of corporation tax, I think, gives us cause to reflect on how we remunerate ourselves from our limited companies. So for a long time, a small salary and a dividend has been the convention in a lot of cases, and to the impact of those changes, in particular for higher earners, does that move the needle from small salary and dividends potentially to something like salary? So I think we've got to consider all of those things in around, but taking a look at how we remunerate ourselves from our own businesses, I think is something that should be on our agenda over the next 6-18 months for our clients. I think one of the conventions that existed for a long time has been the direct personal ownership of investment assets, because capital gains tax rates were low, and we had entrepreneurs relief at one point up at £10 million. And I think that one of the things that we're talking to our clients about is whether that convention has now changed because of the reduction in entrepreneurs relief and the increase in capital gains tax. And I suppose I fear that capital gains tax might even rise further, although that was something yesterday that the Chancellor didn't do. But actually looking at the structure of the ownership of assets and whether the convention is more along the lines of the ownership through let's say a family partnership or our own investment company, for example. I think there's another that was raised in the budget yesterday, or we were reminded about in the budget yesterday, which is the change in basis periods of taxation. So for any businesses that are self-employed or operate as a partnership, and I'm thinking here of sort of large professional practices that don't have a 5th of April or 31st of March year end, there are some changes to how those sorts of businesses are taxed. So I think there's some changes there that those businesses need to look at and understand ahead of 2023, because I think those changes will have an impact. But as I say, generally a quiet budget, which is a relief to many of us who are very, very busy at this time of year. But I still think there remains some things on that should be on all of our to-do lists. You're looking at how we're remunerated from our businesses, how we hold our investment assets, and as I say, in particular, if we don't have a 31st of March, 5th of April year end, how the changes to the taxation of those sorts of businesses are going to impact us in the next year or two.